Hi, I'm John DeVore. Welcome to the DeVore Fidelity YouTube channel. Today's going to be another protest album, and it is probably the most well-known of the overt protest records in jazz. It's the Freedom Now Suite by Max Roach and Oscar Brown Jr. This is my copy. I have another copy. It came out originally on Candid Records, and it says, and the title of the album is Freedom Now! Exclamation point, and it's got an iconic. It's a much cooler record cover, and I have it somewhere, or I remember having it somewhere, but I cannot find it. But I found my 80s Columbia version. It sounds great. It sounds similar to the Candid release, but it's just one of those sort of generic-y reissues from Columbia from the 80s, and they did a lot of these with this sort of almost monotone photos with the big artist name on them. So the original cover actually has a really iconic photograph. The record came out at the end of 1960, and the photograph is of the band members. It's of Max Roach and a couple of other guys sitting at a lunch counter in homage to the lunch counter sit-ins that happened earlier that year in 1960 in North Carolina, South Carolina. I don't know. This piece is actually somewhat related to the piece by Ellington I spoke about a few videos ago, Black, Brown, and Beige, in that its intention was to sort of follow the history of African Americans in America. And the suite kind of continues through from slavery times through freedom and up into the current protests when this was written in 1960. And legend has it that Oscar Brown Jr. and Max Roach had a lot of disagreements about the piece, so that the piece was never really completed, or it was only partially completed, and then they went their separate ways. And Oscar Brown Jr. had nothing to do with the recording of it. The recording of it has Abby Lincoln on vocals, who was, I think, Max Roach's girlfriend at the time, but certainly became Max Roach's wife, and they were a powerful couple in jazz for quite some time through the 60s and 70s. It's got an amazing Coleman Hawkins solos, Booker Little on trumpet, who's awesome on this. It's like an avant jazz, I guess you could call it. A little bit of free jazz creeps in around the edges. There are definitely some moments where there's a lot of strong improvisation where everyone is going at once. A lot of it has this beautiful call and response kind of vibe between Abby Lincoln and her really sort of uncanny vocal delivery. I don't know if you don't know a lot of Abby Lincoln's pieces singing. She has an unusual sort of flat vibrato free delivery that almost at times it sounds more like an instrument, like a horn, than it does like a human voice. But it's very powerful. And she does some vocalizing in this as well, screaming during the protest parts of the piece. It's very powerful. And so Max Roach in the arrangement often lets her voice be soloed, or almost soloed, where he'll be really only doing a tambourine or something behind her singing. It's very powerful. The whole piece, the whole suite, it's this whole record is one piece, the full suite. And it's a fantastic piece. It's really energetic and really current. And I highly recommend it. I mean, Max Roach obviously is one of the founders of bebop, is a legendary drummer, one of the greatest drummers. Coleman Hawkins, obviously an incredibly important saxophone player. Booker Little, a key voice in the new jazz scene. I mean, it's a great record. Highly recommend. And if you can find one with the original cover, it's just a cooler thing to have. And I'm going to look everywhere for mine. And if I can't find it, I'll probably have to grab another copy of the Candid one. But that said, these are much cheaper, these 80s reissues, and they sound great. Although they're a little confusing because I think, Columbia and Sony at the time, they were, I don't know if they really had their archival act together, because these records actually say mono on them, and they're not mono, they're stereo. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon at the next video. Bye.